There's a couple of points that I'll make as preliminary remarks before we get into the panel discussion. And those of you who have worked in public policy for decades will know this, but the longer you leave problems to fester, the less options you have when it comes to fixing them. And not only do you have less options, it's harder to do and often much more expensive.
3 years after Gonski recommendations were handed down to the Gillard government, the gap between high-performing and low-performing students continues to increase. It's not right, it's not fair, and it's not necessary.
I know just what it costs to turn around kids who tell us in year 7, 8 and 9 that they're never going to finish year 12. And when we went in and surveyed 2,000 students, we selected 120 very disengaged students to interview, and we found that with the huge efforts that schools put in, over a third of those kids were turned around, which is just phenomenal. And the turning around involved, effort, love, devotion and money.
And our funding programs need stability and security. We absolutely have to embed any sort of program. You need to know it's going to last more than 3 years. And until we do that, we have to have funding certainty beyond 2017.
We then need to change our focus about not just being that grassroots that we thought Gonski got us over the line in Year P. It needs to stop being a political football. How do we do that?
It won't stop being a political football, if you want to use that term. It is a major preoccupation of our elected representatives at state and federal levels. And the reason for that is that they're accountable to us for the policy positions that they put in place and to the outcomes they receive, but their agendas are so short-term, 3 years, whereas an educational outcome is basically 13 to 15 years, and longer. That's the essential problem. Here's where the politics can and should end. The politics between us must end.
I have great hope that is what today is about, Sector Blind getting together. We have in New South Wales shown that we can do sector blind alliances for education purposes. We had one a few years ago when there were $1.7 billion being cut, and we had every union from every sector, every principal association there and every parent group. So there is hope because everyone cares and wants the best for the young people in our country.
I think one thing that we must take away from here is the importance of this alliance. It's been particularly important to me that Sophie and Stephen have been here. It's very important that we continue to have charitable organisations locked in. It's absolutely critical that this body sees itself as affirming the importance of the three sectors: public, Catholic and independent schools.
Gonski created a completely new narrative. Thank you, Ken Boston and others on the Gonski Review. Created a narrative that put us into a completely different space, and we have to hang on to that space.
So today was about convening the sector, convening people, and actually celebrating that this work has been done in New South Wales.